Have you found yourself in a situation where you believe that if you were to leave that environment, person, or people, you would not be able to survive without them? Now, this is one of the most challenging things that we work on in our life. So, whether it's in a relationship that's stagnating our growth but making us feel like we couldn't live without the person, whether it's still living at home and feeling like we can't thrive if we leave home, we're not capable, whether it's being in a job that feels soul sucking but you don't believe you could have something more, something else in your life, and you're fearful of the unknown. When we're in this situation, and if you're in this situation, it feels like the hardest thing that we can work on. And here's the thing: if we get stuck in these situations, what tends to happen is our mental health becomes worse and worse. So we become more anxious, we may become more depressed, we become more disempowered and feeling as though we are not capable, less confident in ourselves. Now, this is the biggest lie that the mind will tell you, and it will tell you this because it is trying to keep you in these situations. It's trying to protect you, and it's the same protective mechanism that was used when you were young, because when you were young you needed to stay with your caregivers to survive. So it's a survival mechanism. Why is it lying to us? What is the lie? Let's say we know why it's lying. It's because it's trying to keep you safe and surviving. It's not trying to keep you thriving. Our coping mechanisms don't keep us thriving, they keep us in survival patterns. So as an adult, we need to step out of that survival pattern and see what we're capable of. If this was not cultivated or nurtured growing up, if our confidence wasn't built and our parents didn't have the skills or the ability to help us grow. So this is through play, this is through presence, this is through when you're learning a new skill, how they helped you to learn that new skill, how they encouraged, supported, how they were present with you. And then when you had challenges along the way, how they dealt with that with you. And if that wasn't there, if there was no if there was neglect there, what tends to happen is we tend to lose that skill of stepping out of our comfort. We lose that skill of becoming confident in our decisions. So we rely on others thinking that we rely on them thinking that they're the ones that can help us, that they're the ones that have everything together. We kind of project onto them that they have their life together and we need them in our lives to survive. So, as adults, to be able to step out of this dynamic, to evolve and grow, we need to see our own capabilities. We need to grow our ability to step out of our comfort, to do hard things, to master a skill, to show ourselves that we're actually really capable. We're more capable than what we believe, and we do hold value. And we can't do that in an environment that recreates the wounding of you're not capable. And that will come in where you might have a job where you're not really encouraged or supported to grow in because it just doesn't need that from you. It just needs you to show up and do your job. You might live at home where you're reliant on your parents to financially support you, and at the same time emotionally they're neglectful or dismissing, or they just can't meet you emotionally, so you don't get that encouragement, that support, that presence to help you become more confident to leave home. So you're in this cycle. You may find yourself in a relationship where there's lots of conflict and it makes you feel really negative about yourself and feel like you self-doubt, and maybe as though you feel like you're always doing something wrong or there's something wrong with you. So it's reinforcing these limiting beliefs. Now, this is the hardest thing that we work on as adults. We either stay stuck in these situations and find ourselves trying to navigate them through medication, through self-help, through maybe you're always going to therapy trying to fix yourself. So we find ourselves trying to fix ourselves in that environment. And often what can happen is that the best thing for us to do is to step out of that environment, to be able to see what we're capable of. So those of you who have stepped out, maybe you've left a long-term relationship, maybe you've left a long-term job that you were in that you felt like you couldn't leave, you didn't feel confident enough to leave. Maybe you left home later on in life realizing that you needed to leave to individuate, which is what we do. So if this is you and you've left, you will find, and I would love to see it in the comments, that you will probably find that you built your confidence after you left. You realize what you're capable of. You learnt new skills. You stepped out of your comfort. You built your window of tolerance of stress, which means your ability to navigate stress widened and strengthened, and you became more confident because you stepped away from the comfort and familiarity of the home, the relationship, the job, into something that was uncomfortable and was scary, and at the same time built your skill levels, whether it's emotional, whether it's practical, whatever area it built in. So why I'm bringing this in is because I know a lot of people that play down their value and their capabilities. And in order for us to grow and evolve and really step into what gives us purpose, a life where we want to thrive, we need to see what we're capable of and surround ourselves with people who see that in us as well, who are supportive, encouraging, can be fully present and grounded with us. And what tends to happen though, if you grow up in I'm not capable, you will be drawn to people that seem capable, and often they look really independent and are really practical, but when it comes to the emotional support, that's where they lack, and they could be driven through independence by shame. And if that's the only way they can teach you is through shame-based, encouragement, which isn't really a thing, then that is not going to support you. It's just going to shame you into doing things, which will have a negative flow-on effect. There's big consequences for that. So if you're in this situation, I want you to know that this is really, I know that this is really hard. This is a really hard situation to be in. So let's say that you're in the situation of feeling a bit stuck in a relationship, stuck at home, maybe still living at home, or you're stuck in a job. What do you do with that? The first thing I want you to do is think about all the things that you've done in your life where you did it yourself. You were the one who achieved that thing. And just notice what you were capable of in that, like what you achieved. And think about this from all the way to school, from school all the way to where you are today. And what you'll notice is that you actually did a lot of those things. And even if you got support from people, you still were able to do those things. So just have a think about it. I did this for myself because I lacked confidence and I felt incapable and like I couldn't live and thrive on my own. And I was able to see all the things I did in my life where I had achieved that myself. I didn't get someone to do it for me. I had achieved that myself. And that gave me this idea, this ability to say, oh, if I can achieve that, then I can do whatever it is I put energy, my mind to, my finance to. I can achieve whatever I focus on. And so once I was able to connect that and say, oh, I am more capable than I think, I was then able to see how my mind actually convinced me that I was incapable. And that was from a coping mechanism I had. And as soon as I made these jumps, so I left the relationship, I left the career, and I made these big leaps, I was able to see how much my mind had convinced me that the world would end if I made these leaps, and how much better off I was, and my ability to grow, my ability to step into master a skill, to widen my window of tolerance has just gone up so much more. Like it's a leap, it's gone up so much higher than if I was to stay in that situation, which I'd still grow because we all grow, but at a lower rate. So now once I made those choices, the growth was so quick, but the growth was so quick because I needed to survive, right? So I needed to show myself what I was capable of. And I learned so much in that to then be able to thrive on my own too. So that's something to consider when you're in these situations. And the last thing I wanted to bring in is we've all got resources. So every one of us has a different resource, whether it's government funding, whether it's parents helping you, whether it's a partner who helps you financially. We've all got some kind of resource that we can lean on during this time when we step out of our comfort. And I say utilize those resources, and it's okay to remove the guilt and remove any negative kind of belief systems you have around that, because we've all been given certain resources for a reason to help us grow. So utilize that. Think back at the times where you have mastered a skill, you've really pushed yourself out of your comfort, and you did this all yourself, and what you're truly capable of, and how you can kind of become even more capable, and what are your resources.